Typically at a show, I normally have a figure of my costs times 2, and I would never normally do this. I spent, filming you now, Carla, is that alright? I don't blame them when the weather gets nice. It's actually a really nice day. I got back from Exeter show about a week ago, and I finally managed to get my studio into some sort of order. But the show itself was really quite disappointing. Oh, and if you're new here, I'm Ellie, and I run a quilting supplies business, O Couple Haberdashery, and I make vlogs about my life as a small business owner and a fabric trader. I absolutely met some really nice people, and because it wasn't busy, I got some good content for my video, but I ended up taking a loss, and that's hard when you've put yourself out. I've taken a week out to go down there, and I've ended up out of pocket. So I thought I'd do a bit of a deep dive into it and see what exactly the problems were. One of the first things that happened was I got a message on my YouTube from a lady who said, I was going to go to the show, but I didn't because the fuel was expensive. And I get that. I get that. People don't have as much money. But it's made me worried for upcoming shows now with the cost of fuel. Obviously, it's going to cost me more to get there. But is it something people are going to say, I don't want to go because it's a bit frivolous to spend money on a show when actually I don't have a lot of spare money. But anyway, let's have a look at the figures. But first, I know you know me as a tea drinker, but recently my favourite little coffee house that I go to, called Mr. Cooper's Coffee House, has opened a branch in my business centre. Oh, I can't wait for this scaffolding to go. They finished the work on the roof now, they're just waiting for the scaffolders to collect it. Anyway, down there is a little door open, and that is where the coffee shop is. So I'm going to head down there and see what I can find. Let's go. Off we go again. The bun cupboard's empty today. Probably just a smell. There is a school cake though. Filming you now, Carla. Alright. A single shot latte, yeah. Look at that. This is Carla, and she runs this amazing Mr. Cooper's Coffee House. And you all know that I'm a massive tea drinker, but I have to have quite weak coffee. But if you like proper coffee, then you'll love this. But I think the diet's going to go well today because there's no buns in the bun counter. Oh. Will there be some later? Is it?
No buns today.
Oh no, no buns today. Oh, it's really inconsiderate. Yeah. I know. The one in Redcar I used to go to, an Italian lady, she used to say they won't serve you in Italy if you ask for one shot. She said they'll throw you out. Yeah. But I like it with things in, but just like the coffee, I like just one shot. Yeah. There you are then. Oh, that's a good one. Look at that.
Oh, Oh no, the milk's gone.
No, it's fine.
Oh no.
It's
You can't
perfect.
show that one.
Oh no. Let's get into the sorry truth of the matter. And quite honestly, you'll see when I go through the figures that this is the worst event I've done since Glasgow. And I think, in all honesty, it's probably even worse than Glasgow. When I say worst event, I mean takings. I mean, it was actually to attend a lovely event, well organised. And if I'd have gone as a visitor, I would have had an absolutely fantastic, brilliant time, because it was just lots to see and do and plenty of cafes, and it was lovely. But financially, so typically at a show, I normally have a figure of my costs times 2 breaks even, my costs times 3 comes into profit. But sometimes there are other things to take into account, like it's almost like a bit of marketing. You're handing out your leaflets, you're showing people, here I am, here's my business, and they can see you're a genuine person. I also, as you know, I vlog all the events so that I get a little bit of money back from my YouTube videos. So there is money from that. And I sometimes think as well, I add food into this, but actually I would still have to eat when I was at home. Obviously it'd be a bit cheaper. So I have put absolutely everything in this. And in this show as well, on the way back, I collected my daughter from university, and I would have had to make a separate trip for that. So I haven't allowed for that. But those are things that I feel perhaps make me feel slightly less bad about the cost. Well, it needs to be something. So the first thing that happens when you book a show is you get an invoice, and some shows will ask for a deposit, and this show did. So I paid the deposit in November, and now we're in April, and that deposit was £278.40. So I had paid that a while ago, and then I paid the balance in March, and that balance was £835.20. So that show, to rent the space, cost me £1,113.60. And I booked a 4-metre corner space. Typically corners are a little bit more because you've got an extra selling end as well. And the show owners had given me a reasonable deal to start with, and they generously gave me an extra square metre for free. So I actually got 5 metres for the price of 4. So that was good. And before each show, I have a little list. So this just tells me what I need to take, what's already in Dario, the van. And once I've got everything together, me and Mr. Oakapple go through this and tick it off. And Mr. Oakapple, he's retired now, but he used to work in an operating theatre, and he calls this a timeout. So before we start the surgery, we're checking everything's ready. So we do that. Got everything that I need to make sure I don't miss anything. And this list has actually been brilliant, because I'm sometimes the person at a show that people come to, oh, Ellie will have that, Ellie will have that. So it has served me well doing this list. I print one out for every show. And the other thing I do, I can't find my Exeter one, I think I've thrown it away in disgust, is I have this, and I call it my booking checklist. So it goes along with my show list, and that tells me the show and what accommodation I've got. And this is for Spalding, which is my next but one show. And I've actually got a bargain there, because I've got a Travelodge for £158 for 2 nights. So that's really good. And with Travelodge, I will have paid that already. That's the way you get the best deal for those. So, and then on here I have, do I need overnight accommodation en route? Because of where I live, up in Whitby, sometimes it's a bit long-winded to get to places. And also because I'm on my own, packing down and driving, I tend to stay somewhere on the way home just because it's too exhausting to do everything all at once. So I've paid my invoice, done my checklist, and I head off to the show. I do really enjoy being at the shows. I've got a lot of friends that are traders and we have a good laugh together. We just generally support each other, and the customers are always lovely. Very occasionally you get a grumpy one, but to be fair, at Exeter they were all lovely, and lovely customers offered me cups of tea. I couldn't grumble about that. So the show was nice and it was interesting and well organised, and the venue was lovely. My accommodation, I stayed in a Premier Inn. Yeah, so this is where I had a stopover on the way down. So I stayed in a travel lodge on the way to Exeter. That cost me £60.99 for one night in a very uncomfortable travel lodge. But I didn't stay on the way back because I stayed the last night after the show ended, and I drove all the way back from Exeter to Whitby via Leamington Spa to collect my daughter in one day. That was a bit of a marathon. And as you know, fuel prices have rocketed. So I filled my van up. There was a little bit of fuel left in Dario. I filled him up, and that cost me £80. I think I topped him up just a little bit on the way home as well, but I've accounted for £80 for that. And my food over the time I was there, I usually get the meal deal at the Premier Inn, which is about £27 for 2 meals, for your breakfast and your evening meal and a glass of wine, which is a really good value. So I usually have that. But obviously you need sandwiches during the day. You need something during the day. And I did spend about £120 on food over the time I was away. My card fees, I haven't exactly looked into this, but I will have spent about £20 on card fees for using my card machine, and usually a little bit more as well to pay cash into the bank. Usually that's only about another £5 or £6 to pay my cash into the bank. So I record my sales at the shows in a little book. I don't write down exactly what I sell, that would take too long. So I use, like this, a little book, and I use a different colour for every show, so that as I go along I know what I've taken from which show. And this book started in August 24, so I can look back, and actually I can look back at the last craft for crafters, the Exeter show, which I did, and at that show I took a total of £2,165, which wasn't great, but I've written here in my book, good customer feedback and a few orders straight after, worth trying again if I get a good price. That's what I put in my book. Not what I'm going to put in it this time. Yeah, so I go through my book, and I don't tend to add it up as I go along. I add up at the end of each day, but I generally know each time I've done a column whether it's a good day or not. Yeah, so in the green there, I'll cover that up, is when I went to Textile in Manchester. I actually filled a page and a bit on one day, which is good going. I know that's going to be a good day. And my last day at Craft for Crafters in Exeter is one of the single worst days trading I've had. In fact, let's look back at Glasgow, because I used to say that was my worst. Yeah, it's worse than Glasgow. Quite bad. I think that's possibly about the worst day I've had. So on the Saturday, so it wasn't even a Sunday. On the Saturday in Exeter, I made £234. I have made more than that at a flipping church craft fair. Soul destroying is not the word. I suppose the one saving grace was that it wasn't just me. Everyone was having, around me, my trader friends were having such a bad day. So that gives you some crumb of comfort, because you think it's not something I'm doing wrong, it's just the climate or whatever, just not the... I do sometimes find it a mixed craft show. There might be a lot of footfall, but a lot won't be my customers. They'll be for either knitting or paper craft or other things. So you can't say all those people coming in are your customer. So I'm going to show you my figures now, my financial figures. And I would never normally do this, but I just think sometimes it's helpful to be clear to people. And when people say they've had a bad show, it really is a bad show. And this is the worst. This isn't my normal. So don't go feeling sorry for me, because this isn't my normal, what I normally make. But here we go. So from the show, so that was 3 days of trading, I took £1,467.14. So that was 3 days of trading and 1 full day of setting up. That's what I took. And let's look at my costs. So the stall fee was £1,113.60. Fuel, I spent £80. Didn't have to pay for parking, so that's something. I accounted for £120 for food, but I would have to eat anyway, but that's what I spent when I was away. And my accommodation, so I had 2 lots of accommodation, so total £369.99. I got quite a good price for them, but still it all adds up. Next, card fees. I haven't actually gone properly into that, but it was roughly about £20. Packaging, that's all my paper bags and everything. I've just put £10 for that. I haven't really properly costed that, but I don't think it'll be any more than that. So cost of stock, normally as a ballpark, I assume it's about 50% of the actual sale. So that would mean my stock cost me £733.57. Some of this is stock I will have paid for quite a while ago. Some of it is obviously very new and it has only just been paid for. But, you know, it's a mixture. So that brings my total costs up to £2,447.16, which gives me a loss of £980. Now, I think you'll agree, in anyone's book, that is colossal. That's a huge loss. I mean, I've got to think that I'll learn a little bit from YouTube, not very much, but, you know, that'll lessen it a bit. There are things that I would have done anyway, like collecting my daughter. I would have had to do that. So that would have probably been another, I would have perhaps spent £50 on fuel doing that. I mean, I'm at a loss, really. I'm at a loss to explain it. I don't think I've ever had such a big loss at a show before. So I'm guessing you aren't going to be seeing me in Exeter anytime soon. But what can I learn from this? I think the best way I can think of to maximise my profits is to cut down my expenses. So that might mean having a smaller stand, because that's the biggest outlay, the stand. So a bit of a smaller stand would help, definitely. I could actually, in fact, I've done that at Harrogate next year. If you see me at Harrogate, I've halved my stand there to try and save a bit. I always try and think what customers are asking me for. So I listen when they say, have you got this? And I know I haven't. I think, right, I make a mental note to get that next time. And that is serving me well. So I'm building up a collection of different things that people have asked for. When I look back at videos of my stall layout, I'm actually not convinced that I did it in the best way possible, because I didn't sort of think of the way that people walk in. So I had a corner, so I thought the main thoroughfare would be one way, and it turned out to be the other way. So I put all my high value items on the end, which wasn't the main thoroughfare, and all my cheaper things like my iron off pens that were £2 in the main thoroughfare. So I think that might have been an issue. I might have just not set it up as well as I could have done. I mean, it looked nice, but I hadn't really thought about where I placed items in relation to where the customers are going. So that might be something that I can look at in the future. I mean, I did do bundle offers and things, but the customers really, the average spend was only about £7 or £8. I'm absolutely not judging on people for not spending. I understand that. The climate's difficult, people haven't got spare money, people are just worried with the current political situation, how things are going to go. And people don't always want tons of stuff. And I get all that. So I have to try and cut my cloth, so to speak, accordingly, and work out what people want and work out how I can still go to shows. It might be that I have to go to some shows as a vlogger rather than as a trader. I mean, I don't want to do that, but I can't take a loss like that every time. I mean, and I don't take a loss like that every time, I don't. But that was a particularly bad example. But I don't want that to be the way things are going forward. It's why I've also started branching out into doing sewing retreats, because I think people sometimes just want experiences rather than things. People want nice holidays. I don't blame them when the weather gets nice. It's actually a really nice day in Whitby today. I can't wait for them to remove that scaffolding from outside my window. But yeah, it's a lovely day. But what I don't want from this vlog is for people to feel sorry for me. I wanted to put this vlog out to just be really transparent about just what it costs to trade at shows. Because I know if you're just new to this, for instance, at the show in Exeter, I met a lady who was doing her first show and she was lovely. And at the end of the show, she came and approached me and said, can I ask you a few things about what you've paid for the show and do you haggle for your price and things like that? And I felt actually we're not very transparent about this. Even with other traders, we're very guarded about what did we pay, and I'm not sure that's always right, really. So I felt like being honest with this vlog, that it would help people see just what it costs to go to a show. And while we're out there, if you see me at Festival of Quilts, that one cost £2,700. So just bear that in mind. I think I need a lie down after that. Going to get ready for my next show, and I've got different stock. I think another factor that might have had an effect was I had a new order of fabric coming for the show, and they delivered it to my old business in Redcar, and I didn't have time. It was just literally the day I was packing and I couldn't go and get it. And with hindsight, I probably should have made the time, because actually I didn't have anything new for my customers. And I don't know whether that reflected on me, whether I was not enthusiastic about my goods because I'd been seeing them for the last few shows. So sometimes it's just really little things. But this came. How lovely is this? I need to put this on the website, actually. Really sweet, isn't it? So I have got new fabric in and new notions and patterns for my next show, which I think will liven it up a bit. So I think all we can do is just keep going, keep plodding on, cut costs where we can. I don't know. Onwards and upwards. So my next show will be at Exeter, and it's the British Quilt and Stitch Village. And this show holds a really, really special place in my heart because it's the first show that I ever did. And my mum used to come with me to these shows, and she came with me to the Exeter show when I had a massive case of imposter syndrome. Because I remember driving up to the car park and I was going, I should be like in a church hall. Like, I can't compete with all these people. I just massively felt like out of place. And that, I think that was in 2017 when I did that show, my first big show. And to be honest, I took about the same then as I've taken at Craft for Crafters last week. Oh. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to going to Exeter. It's such a lovely venue. So if you're there, come and say hello and just cheer me on a bit. I think I'm just going to concentrate on cutting my costs at going to shows now. So I'm already committed to a double space at Exeter, but I think next year I might halve that, unless it's an absolutely blinding show, which the way things are going, I don't think it's going to be. But I'm committed to that. So I'm stocking up on lots of little items so I can make my stand look interesting. I have got new fabric, which I didn't have at the last show. I'm hoping that might have been part of the issue. And yeah, you just got to pick yourself up and move on, really. You can't dwell on it. I've got 2 weeks until I'm at Exeter, so I've got time to plan my sales and maybe get some little bundles and things ready for my customers in the hope that it will be a better show. And if by some chance you've made it to the end of this tale of woe and misery, this is not normally like me, here are some ways which you can help me. In fact, just what you're doing now, watching my channel, helps me, because I get paid a little bit, admittedly, but it all helps from people watching my YouTube channels. You could give me a thumbs up, you could subscribe, you could even drop a little comment. All those things are free, and that will vastly help me and help my channel to move. And the same thing if you see me on social media, just a little like or a thumbs up, anything, all those things help, and they don't cost anything. Well, it's Friday night and I've got a few orders to take to the post office. We gave up cooking tonight. We're going to have chippy tea. So thank you for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I'll try to be my normal upbeat self on the next vid. And yeah, I'll see you next time.